Facebook post, and this is where we are. Amazing communication, isn't it? And that's what the trick of the game is going to be today. I am so grateful for all of those who are wearing the stickers, and I'm really grateful for all of those who couldn't find one and they were asking me for it. I haven't printed them out, somebody else did, so please don't blame me. Why are we here today? That's a very good question, and we were just trying to figure that out. We are here for two reasons. Some people have done a few bad things, and that has transgressed over cultural boundaries. And the worst part that has become is that we have now been divided into us and them. Let me start with an example about 1400 years ago. The Muslims of Mecca were in trouble. And the Prophet ordered them, to cut long story short, leave Mecca and go to some other place. So they end up close to Medina, the place from where we actually start our calendar. That's called the Hijrah. Everybody, all the Muslims of that time, traveled to Medina. But before they could get there, they were waiting, and people from Medina came to them and they said, "We're having some problems, we're having some issues between ourselves. So, because we know that you, O Muhammad, our Prophet, you are a person who can make things right between people, and you're an honest and a true person, could you become our mediator?" From that day onwards, Medina became the home of the Prophet, and that was the first ever agreed upon consensus constitution written in the constitutional history. And you know who were the three parties? The Muslims, the Jews, and the Christians. Those are the people who signed that document. Those were the people who laid down the foundation of the first democratic state where people could talk to each other and come together independent of their religious activity or beliefs. That's what we're trying to do today. Using this house of Allah, Lord, God, whoever you want to call him, it's our community center too. What we want to do is we want to have a very simple conversation and figure out how we can solve this problem. And I'm really grateful to the Vice President Kent here, Senator, Mayor Blad, and the Police Chief. Of course, thank you very much, sir, for coming down. We know that there's a lot of rumors going around. There's a lot of multiplied news too. There is a lot of news that is not reported correctly. No offense to all the journalists here. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring everybody on the same page. But before I even continue with this conversation and ask Mayor Blad to say a few words, let me again, from the depth of my heart, thank you all for coming down here, for showing the support. I know some of us were put down on the road and beaten. I know some of us was hurt. And that offends almost everybody. But the worst part is when you walk into somebody's home and you break in, and then you do it consecutively, then we become fearful of our own families. I have lived here for 7 years, more than almost on an average student, and I loved it so much here I called it home. I bought a home, I had a baby, and my wife actually made her move from New York here. So you can imagine how much I love this place. So ladies and gentlemen, I call it home. I know most of us call it home. And for those of us who are just traveling here, call it home too now. So let's make this home a wonderful place, please. And let's have a conversation in a very civilized manner where we can express our opinions and be able to accept other people's opinions too at the same time. Mir?
Well, I think it was a good move from New York to Pocatello, personally. First of all, assalamu alaikum. It is a privilege for me to be able to speak once again to you. I meet often with a number of students at the mosque, and then at school, at class, and then occasionally we get you to come down to City Hall, and so thank you very much for everything that you've done. Let me express to you our concern and our desire to make sure that you are safe. One thing, as Ali has just mentioned, he's been here 7 years and we've not seen this. There are very few people that do not understand how to protect or how to treat people of another either religious belief or origin of birth or any of that stuff. There are just a few. Remember, Pocatello has 55,000 people, and unfortunately, a dozen can spoil that bunch. And so we are working very hard to make sure that doesn't happen and that stops. I know there's been some concern that our police department is not doing the job the way they should, and there's been some concern that the police department is telling you not to. I have heard anyway from rumors the police department has been telling you not to report this stuff, which, if that is the case, I will just put this out there. If that is the case, I want to know about it, because they won't be working for us much longer if they're telling you not to report crimes. Our chief of police is over here, and he is, every time I go on visit with him about a crime that I've heard of through the rumor mill, oftentimes we don't even have a record. Nobody's reported it. And when that happens, it's very difficult to solve that crime. So I would ask you for sure, when something happens, do not hesitate. Please call us immediately. If you do not get an answer, the answer that you want, then listen to what they're doing. They're working every case. They're working every case as hard as they possibly can. The homes that we have talked about that have been burglarized here, or that I've heard about, they're not the only burglaries that are happening in Pocatello. And so we're not focusing just on a certain group of people, I guess is what I'm saying. But there are some people that obviously have targeted. We had some CDs handed out on campus, I understand. It's absolutely deplorable that somebody would do that. I'm grateful that that person does not live in Pocatello. I'm grateful that that person does not belong to the state of Idaho. And that's a good thing for us. Unfortunately, we can't get that person to call us back, and he's now back in his home state. But that's how serious we take that, is when we find out about it, we track it and we find it. And that's a difficult one to find, but we're able to find where that person is from, and we've continued to do that. But just know that as Pocatello, we will not stand for it. We will not, in any way, shape, or form, back away from it. If crimes are happening and we can catch them, we will, and we will prosecute. And we will continue to prosecute until they stop. We absolutely will not tolerate it. We love you here. We want you here. You add to the diversity that we cherish as Pocatelloans. Pocatelloans a word even? Is that a word? Pocatelloans. It is today. Anyway, it's starting now. We want you here. You have made my life more well-rounded just having you in our community. I've had the privilege and the absolute privilege of getting to know a number of our foreign students right here in the mosque. And I appreciate you opening the door for us, for our community, and for showing us and teaching us how to love better, and how to appreciate more. We appreciate that. And it would be devastating for me personally as the mayor if we were to lose you. So I want you to know that we desperately want you to stay here. I know Idaho State University feels the same way. I am working with the different governments. We will have some meetings throughout the first of next week, and I'll be expressing that same stuff then, as I am right now. You make our life a lot better here by bringing that culture that we don't have, and that most of the people in Pocatello are embracing, and most of them want to see you here and appreciate you being here. So thank you very much. Ollie, I don't know who you want me to pass it to.
Thank you, Ali. My name is Ken Tingey. I'm the Vice President for Advancement at Idaho State University. As we started, Ali said we don't want to become them and us. We want to make sure that we stay we. A good friend of mine today, Dr. Corey Scow, one of our outstanding professors at the university, told me a story, and I'd like to kind of recite it to you. In World War II, Hitler marched in and captured Denmark. And as he captured Denmark and took it over, he told the king that he wanted to gather everybody in the country together. They wanted to make sure that everyone who was Jewish had to wear a yellow star on their chest. The king didn't want to do that, but Hitler insisted that he did. And so the king gathered everybody together. He stood at the front of the podium with he himself was not Jewish, but he stood with a yellow star on his chest. And he said, all of us here, we're all Danes. We'll wear yellow stars. And that's how we are here. Yesterday, I was in the Student Union building, and I saw two wonderful young women way off in a corner away from everyone else, studying and eating their lunch. And I went up to them and I said, I just want you to know that you add a great richness to this university. We're very proud that you're here. We want you here. We need you here. You make us better, and we help make you better. And the one young woman broke down into tears, and she bowed her head for 15 or 20 seconds, trying to control herself, and then she raised her head and said, we want to be here. We like it here. I just want to say in closing that as representatives of Idaho State University, as Mayor Blad said, we love you, really. You make us better. You give us richness to life that we wouldn't have otherwise. And we want you to be here, and we will do everything we can to help you. And some of these challenges we're facing right now, we're going to work through them. We're going to make it better. We're going to fix the things that need to be fixing. And if any of you has any challenges or problems, there are many people here from the university today, professors, great friends. Please let any of us know, and we will do everything we can to help. Thank you again. We love you.
Okay, so before I move on to the police chief, I'm going to open the floor for questions. So if you have questions, ask me questions. And I'm saying any concerns, either from the Saudi students, the Kuwaiti students, the international students, the non-international students, the local students, any questions or concerns that you guys have.
I have something I need to share with you.
Sure.
Right now we are meeting here. One of our friends, his home is got stolen in the Ridgecrest complex. Yes.
Right now?
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I go to the bar, Dad?
Yes.
Have they reported it to the police?
Yeah.
They reported it? Okay.
His door was knocked maybe yesterday or the day before. It was a message.
All right. There's a car up there? Okay, so the police chief is saying that they've already sent the police there. So, sir, I understand that you have 55,000 people to take care of, and I'm going to talk to you directly, the reason being that the concerns that some of the students have, and I'm pretty sure that these are going to go away after this conversation, is that the police is not doing enough. That's what the perception is. And I understand there's a lot of things going on in the town. We are not the only group of people that you need to take care of. But for the 23 burglaries that have been reported so far, what would be your progress report on it as to say?
The progress report is that they've been actively worked from the day they were reported. They're currently, detectives are interests. I don't know that that's gonna clear all 23, but I feel fairly confident saying we're gonna clear some of them with these people.
So, police is working on it, that's for sure. So if anybody has that concern but let me, being on the police side, I've lived in America for 7 years, so let me explain. Our police culture back home is a little different than what it is here. Pakistan, we don't even go to the police. Saudi Arabia, I know you guys have a very good police system, but in America, the police system works a little different way. So when you report a crime, in Pakistan, I'm just going to compare because I know that system. So in Pakistan, what they do is the moment you report a crime, they grab somebody, and if that person has done it or not done it, the police actually makes them accept it. In America, it works a little different. So they're going to investigate, the detectives are going to work on it, they're going to find proofs for it, then they're going to build a case against that person, correct me if I'm wrong somewhere, and then they're going to file the case, and then they're going to take that person to the court and get arraigned. So I'm thinking that process is going to take some time. Is that what you're saying? So it's going to take some time and it's going to cover it up?
Burglaries are a very hard crime to solve unless you actually see someone or know someone.
Okay.
So when there's no identity given, no, I think it might be this person, you're looking at the crime and you're trying to build the case from that. As bad as it may seem, sometimes when there's more than one, and you can look at them and say, these might be connected, it kind of makes it a little bit easier because it gives you a little bit more to look at. Okay? But it's a very, very, very tough crime to solve.
I have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
The thing this started to happen like 3 weeks ago, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a week before that.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not really expensive for the university to put cameras in their campus or in their, complexes. It will really help.
So, Vice President, do you think
It's not really expensive.
we can do something
and it's
like
really
that?
helpful. You know that.
We can set up some cameras at the residence areas, registers?
Yes, I will bring this up on Monday. Now, I do know that we have cameras right now at the Performing Arts Center that are shooting towards Ridgecrest, but I will look and see exactly what we have and what we can do, and I will do that immediately.
Perfect, thank you. So, any other concerns before I move on to the next question?
Yeah, but what about people who live out of campus like me? For me, I can't go to study with my friends as a group because my family live in a house. So, like yesterday, we have a meeting at night, so I can't go with them and study with them. So it's so hard for me. I can't leave my son and my wife in danger.
Yeah, I have that feeling too.
I believe all of the Saudis and Kuwaitis are living in some certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe if there are some
So,
undercover people, they will.
so can we increase where, in the student hall area, the Ridgecrest area, or down where there are other student populations, can we increase a little bit extra police presence if that is possible?
I would love to make you that promise. I would love to be able to look at you and tell you, I will put extra policemen in every one of those neighborhoods, but I don't control what happens in my city at night. They're aware, believe me, our officers are aware of what goes on. They also don't know where everyone lives, but they're very aware of what has gone on, so we try to increase our presence everywhere in the city. But the second I look at you and say, I will certainly have a car in your neighborhood, and I have a bank robbery and I lose all my policemen and something happens at your house, then you're going, well, he told me that he would have that there. So I don't want to make a promise that I can't keep, but I do want you to know that every officer in my department understands what's going on right now. They're paying attention to it. Last night alone, we took 8 calls for service with international students. People that actually called dispatch and said, hey, something's going on. We had 3 or 4 call last night say there's a white Jeep following us. It was either late at night or early in the morning. We found that Jeep. It was a young lady delivering newspapers. So, but that tells you that people are paying attention to their surroundings. I will tell everybody in this room, doesn't matter who you are, That's the very first thing you need to do. Pay attention to what's going on around you, whether you're at home, whether you're at the store, whether you're walking down the street. Pay attention. If something doesn't look right and you don't feel right, it's probably not right. If you need to notify the police, notify the police. We will send a car as soon as we can.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, question. Go ahead, sorry, let's go.
So, I think to conclude the message from these two gentlemen and the police chief in regards to how many calls are coming in, especially international students and their safety, I think it's safe to say that in general, it's just slowly and gradually becoming an unsafe environment for most, not only international students, but for everyone. And when those tapes, or when those DVDs were distributed, everyone felt extremely unsafe, especially the Muslim community. And my sister and I were contemplating whether we should even leave our house. And there's a reason we don't wear this outside. And so I think it's, with the gun permit laws that have just been passed, and the recent shootings that happen on college campuses, there's even more hostility. And I think it's more of a community thing, because I agree with the police chief that the police can only do so much. We have to, I think it's something that needs to be worked from the inside, because if the people are looking to the Muslim community thinking that we're gonna hurt them, or just having any sort of disagreement and contention, then our lives are at stake. Our lives are technically in danger. And I'm asking you guys, is there anything that we can do as a people, just in general? Like, what would you suggest from both the police chief and Ali?
So I think that's a very good point that you have raised. I think there's a lot of fear in addition to the reality that has happened. So counting today's burglaries, we have 24 now. I think it would be two things that we can do. One would be, and I'll leave the rest of it to the police chief to recommend to the students what we can do, because we need to play our part as well. As students, as international students, as local community, we need to play our part. When we see something wrong happen, pick up a phone and call 911. Don't try to get yourself involved into it. And I think the better option that most of the students are expecting is a little bit more regular updates from the police. You can put it up on website or Mayor Blad's website. I control Mayor Blad's website. I can put anything up and let you know. So just tell me, whatever is happening, so we can communicate to the students that there's something going on, there's a progress being made, if somebody is arrested or something is happening. So the students, because in 7 years, and police chief, I'm speaking not only for myself, actually I'm speaking for that gentleman at least. In 7 years that I've lived here, my father, who is the president of the Islamic Society, was in DC. He calls me and he says, make sure you contact this guy and tell him that the mosque is safe. And the second thing tells me, make sure our home is locked. We have not done that in 7 years because, it's Idaho. My neighbors come in my home, they pick up stuff, we all cut grass together. First time ever I got that call. So I think we need to, before I come to you, I'll go to that question.
Another question. The other night, like a couple nights ago, my brother got stabbed 3 times in his arm because of just hateful crime, pretty much. And I took him to the ER, and I go down there, and my name was on the list to get in for sure, and I was told that's confidential. No one should knows about it. I shouldn't talk about it, and I would like explanation for that. Why? Why would I not let everyone know what we were facing and what's going on?
Where was your name? Where was your name?
That was me.
No,
That was me who got stabbed. That was Thursday.
You got stabbed Thursday.
Yeah.
a couple nights ago.
Yeah. And I have forwarded you that picture.
Yeah. So I want to answer 2 questions. I'll address that one. And probably, and I'm going to assume that we are trying to get all of the pieces to that puzzle put together. And so the less people out in the community that we have running around talking about it, the easier it is and the faster the police can find a suspect of some sort. And so I'm assuming that that's probably why you were told, look, please don't tell everybody, we're trying to get ahead of this so that we can make an arrest. It's always better to make an arrest before it hits the public, just simply because it's more protection for you and more protection for everybody else out there. And so, and I know that case is being worked very hard, all day today, all day yesterday, all day today. It is being worked very hard. The chief and I have had discussions on that now for, I don't know, four or five different discussions between yesterday and today about that very thing. And that's a difficult one for them to get, but they're trying to get ahead of that. And so they were not trying to say, don't talk about it. They're just trying to say, you know, the less that everybody knows right now, the better off we are, so that we can get ahead of it and find the people that have done it, probably. Now, to answer the question that I would like to answer here, what can you do to help the situation? And I think this will help this situation as well. I think any time that we segregate ourselves into different groups, we're going to have issues. Anytime that a group of people do not involve or include other people in their group, you're going to have an issue. And so my recommendation would be inclusive. When you're out and you are in a group of people, if you see somebody, talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to them. And I would encourage everybody in our community to do the same thing. When you're out and you see somebody, talk to them. Every time I see one of you, and I realize it, one of the Middle Eastern students out in the community, I always go and speak to you. I always make sure that you're included, and I want to make sure that happens all the time. And that's what I think, if we do that, start doing that as a community, as a group of people, instead of segregate ourselves away, if we stop looking at skin color, and we stop looking at gender, and we stop looking and worrying about religious beliefs, and we just start looking at people as people, then you know what? Things change. If I look at you as a chair, and just like an object, I can kick you over and it doesn't do anything to me. But when I look at you, or you look at anybody as a person that has feelings like I have, that if I look at you as a person that is a mother or a brother or a sister or a father or a niece, if I look at you as a real person, then it's a lot harder for me to just go over and kick you. And if we all can do that, then I would suggest today, right now, we leave this meeting with that resolve that from this point forward, we're not going to look at color of skin. We're not going to look at gender. We're going to look at a person as a person. And only at that time can we start making the change. Stop segregating ourselves away from each other and start including each other in our lives. Ali just told you, I mean, he's not supposed to tell anybody. He runs my webpage. He wasn't supposed to say that out loud. But it's true. If we look at people, it's going to change our community. And it will always change the community when that happens. So that would be my suggestion to help with that. And you have a question?
How are you going to get this message out of this room? I think here you're preaching to the choir. Yes. Okay? So how do you get it out to the people who are not?
Well, I might be preaching to the choir in here, but I've been saying the same thing to Channel 3 and 8, Channel 6, to the New York Times, to the Wall Street Journal, to the Washington Post. What's that other big news media? Reuters. So I've been saying it to everybody I can throughout the country. And so,
To answer that question, I believe that if, like you said, if from here we go out and we educate people, we teach people with love and respect, I think that's a good way to share the message. It will not stay here. I think if each and one of us individuals see people as humans, not as Muslims, not as Christians, not as Jewish or atheists, if we see people as humans and we take their rights with respect as we want to be respected, or treat them as we want to be respected, I think we will make a change. If we see everything as oneness, I think we can start change. I think, yes, we have a media. Yes, you guys, there's a lot of leaders in here, which I admire. But at the same time, each individual can make a difference by starting with oneself. And then outside with whoever they see that they're lacking maybe knowledge. Sometimes it could be in a simple place as a coffee shop. Sometimes it could be in a store. It takes literally 2 minutes to come and say, hey, I'm Muslim, and you know what, I'm Latina, and I'm Mexican, and I stand for what I believe in. I'm so sorry, but not only Middle Eastern people are Muslims. So I believe that it's just lack of education, lack of knowledge. So I believe that the best way is from each individual from here to go out and not to be afraid of speaking with respect. You're not going to come and be all hateful, because then it's not from love and it's not from God too. So whatever religion you belong, I think it should be definitely respected. But from out here, each individual has a responsibility. That's my answer to that.
Of course.
I think that's a wonderful conclusion that we have here. But before I conclude, there's two things that we need to do. And the last word I'll leave to the police chief, and I'll ask him what can we as a community do, as international students specifically can do to help the situation. The worst thing that we students can do, and it will sound like a lecture, but it is not. It's not to let other people's habits put fear in us. You know what the Prophet ﷺ once said? He said, if somebody comes to you and attacks you, you respond back. But respond back in kindness. But be just. You cannot leave being just. If something wrong has happened to you, report it to the police, and then follow what they ask you to do. If they ask you not to tell anybody else, like in that case, there's a very good explanation for it. I would be surprised too, I understand that. I would be surprised as well.
You think that the same thing would have been said to a different one who's been in the same situation, but maybe in different race or different religion? Yes.
I'll let police chief answer that question.
Here's what I'm going to tell you when it comes to a case like that. Is your brother an adult?
Yes.
He is. So, he can go in, they're going to talk to him, they probably wouldn't talk to anybody else in your family. If he was a juvenile, that would make a difference. They would probably talk to your parents. I don't know that they would talk to you as his brother, unless you were his guardian. But yes, it's the same with everyone. Okay?
So
and when we're done, I'll talk to you, I'll explain it more.
Okay.
And there's so that's what you see, that's a cultural difference. That's a prime example of cultural difference. Where I come from, I don't care about what my father did, I care about what my older brother did. Because if my older brother was on my side, nobody can come and touch me. So, and he's the older brother. So,
we have a lot of people who wants to come in.
Okay, so you know what, we're going to be concluding in a few minutes anyway. So, going back to what I was saying, we need not let fear live in our society, in our hearts, for whatever is going on. We need to stand up. We need to stick to each other. And I'm pretty sure there's only very, very few people who are doing this, who are targeting. And from statistically, it seems like that we are being made the focus of it. So yes, we need to secure ourselves. So I'm going to ask the police chief to tell us what we can do to help reduce the crime and to prevent it from happening. But I know it's their prime responsibility. Once it has happened, then they're going to catch that person. And I promise all the international students and Saudi students, because I have already made that promise to you, I'm going to talk to Mayor, I'm going to talk to Vice President, I'm going to talk to the police chief. Whatever update they can give us, I will get that update and I'll spread the word out. That is going to happen. So you guys know that there's progress being made. I have lived in the city long enough that I can know and I can tell you that we will do whatever it takes to protect ourselves, because it includes my 5-month-old baby too. So we're going to do it, no matter what. Am I right, Chief?
Yes.
Perfect. So what can you tell us, what should we do to ensure safety on our behalf?
Well, I'm going to give you just a little bit of background. I've had this job for about 4 years. I've been a policeman in this city for 34 years. when I got this job as chief, I had 3 priorities, and they haven't changed. And they're not in any particular order.
Chief, can we have you come stand over here so we can see us?
How about if I just go right here? I had 3 priorities, and I've had them since day one. The first is that each and every one of my policemen go home at the end of their shift. Number 2, that this community is safe. The entire community is safe. And number 3, that I give my people the training and equipment to make 1 and 2 happen. It's pretty simple. I have to have those 3 things for our community to be safe. We have many, many, many students that come to ISU, including all of you. You come here, we look at you as college students, not foreign students, and we want you to enjoy the college experience. And I think that's what ISU wants. When you come here, you're coming to college, we want you to enjoy that experience. I've seen a lot of things in my career, and at times you look at it and think, yeah, I've seen it all. This is something new to me. Okay? There's been tons and tons of rumors. I haven't been contacted by anybody, but third-party people, I hear rumors, things get spun up, and it changes. You have a tight community. You all speak to each other. You have problems. There have been burglaries, so you talk about that. The one thing I'll tell you is, crooks, bad guys, burglars, they have a tight community. They talk. So if something works for them and they see it, and there's big gain, low risk, big gain, they start talking to each other. Hey, maybe you can get this here, maybe you can get that there. Really what you need to do is protect yourself, especially at home. We haven't had home invasions. I think there was one burglary when they broke in and there were people at home and it scared them off, but that is the only one I've heard about. And if there's more, I haven't heard about them. I got to tell you, when I look at the 23 burglaries, and I've only gone through about 14 of them from start to finish this morning, 10 of those had open windows or open doors. They were unlocked. You have to lock your doors. Doesn't matter where you live. Okay? Lock your doors. Protect yourself. The things you're losing, PlayStation 4s, computers, cameras, those all have identifying marks, serial numbers. You have to have those somewhere. Okay? If I have 15 PlayStation 4s stolen, and I have 14 that go to the pawn shop, and I don't have a serial number, how do I say what belongs to who? I know it's not right, but as a policeman, we certainly can't look at it and say, this one goes to this house, and this one might have came from that house. So you have to kind of do those things to take care of yourself. Pay attention to your surroundings. Know your neighbors. Take care of your neighbors. If you see somebody going to your neighbor's house and kicking on the door, call the police. I would expect the same for your neighbors if they see it. We canvass neighborhoods. We talk to people when these crimes happen. So you have to, number 1, take care of yourself. Number 2, take care of each other. And we will do everything we can. The only thing we look at when we come to your house is the crime, and we want to solve that crime. It's personal to those policemen. They want to solve it. Okay? They're going to work it very hard. Sometimes you have more evidence, you have more things to go on. Sometimes you have nothing. I wish I could tell you we cleared every one of them. We don't do that. It hasn't happened. I would love to be that chief that says if there's a crime here, we're going to solve it. It's very tough, but you need to understand that we're working very hard. There has been, I think from my end, watching this evolve for about the last week or so, as it started, there's been a big lack of communication. Okay? And that's on everybody's end, including ours. So as a staff at the police department, we're gonna find a way that we interact more. If we can meet once a month, meet with different groups. Maybe there are things going on in this community that we don't know about, that you guys would like to tell us, but you don't feel comfortable calling or coming to the department if we make ourselves more available. So those are things we're working on. We'll see how that works. As a department, we're very involved in our community. Okay? Maybe we need to be more involved in this community. And that's going to be our push. I don't want you to be afraid of being in your home. Okay? I'm not going to tell you that the world is perfect and nothing will ever happen. But Pocatello is a very safe community to live in. For some of you, right now, you have different feelings. We will do what we can to change those feelings. But if you take care of yourself, and don't be afraid to call the police. You have to call if you think there's a problem. Don't wait 2 days and say, well, somebody broke into my house on Tuesday and call us on Friday. That doesn't help us. The second you know that a crime has been committed, or you feel that you're a victim of a crime, or you think that something is not right, call us. We will send a car. Okay? As soon as we can, we'll send a car. You have to also understand that we don't have 1 million policemen on the street at every given hour. So we prioritize our calls. Sometimes we're overloaded. If somebody called and said, a car hit my fence, that may go to the very bottom. It may take us an hour to get there, okay? Because other calls will come in on top. So I think you need to understand that. But truly, it starts with you. Don't be a victim. Do your best not to be a victim. Pay attention. I tell my wife, my daughter, my friends, my neighbors, all the same thing. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you go to the store at night, pay attention to what's going on. When you come, lock your doors to your car when you go inside. When you come back out, take a look at the parking lot. Make sure everything looks good. Try to go with other people. When you get to the car, take a look inside the car. Unlock it, get in, drive home, do those things. It's little things that, because we live in a community like this, sometimes we feel that, we don't have to do it. We're in Pocatello. We're all right. Bad things happen in Pocatello, ladies and gentlemen. It happens. Okay? If we all work together, we'll reduce crime. We'll reduce those things. Okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, the Chief. So I think we have a very productive meeting in this community hall / mosque. Let's talk about conclusions. So Vice President is going to try and look into the cameras for the student housing. We're going to try. And
sorry for that.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you, sir. As one of the students, so we understand behind these stones of the houses to be stolen, it's a message to us to leave. That's because they are not looking for walkie things. Maybe in 1 or 2 houses they got your money, but the other house they take light stations and other stuff. But they to tell you, oh, we got in your house, we can reach you.
So that's a message.
Yeah, it's to scare people. That's what we understand it.
And you know, and actually that's a valid point, because in that sense, well, Chief, just to convey you the message, they actually come and they take passports away. So the students cannot, you know, and then they come and steal documents that are worth nothing to them. But for a student to go to the nearest embassy is in California, consulate, where you can go and make a passport. So that is a cost that you have to do, the trip that you have to do. So that's what's happening.
I think, and I don't know this. Of course, I haven't talked to those people. Hopefully, we'll get them arrested and find out why. I got to tell you, if they take a PlayStation 4, that's money in their pocket. And it's not always about money. It's about drugs. I can trade many things for drugs. It's not just money. And we do have some of those problems. So a lot of that is that. Looking at that, I wish I could tell you why they would take a passport. I look at that and go, maybe they don't know what it is. Maybe they have no idea what they're taking. They think it's something, or maybe they're doing it to be mean. Maybe they're doing it for other reasons. I don't know. It seems unusual.
Yeah, but I think when we look to the scenario, anti-DVD against Muslims, it were distributed in the campus. Some message lifted behind in the car. Go home. Why you are here? And some comments in the Idaho State Journal, I read the comments, some say we are soldiers. We are not students. And some, when you read these things, and houses now being stolen, when you look at this scenario during 1 month, that sends a message, maybe they're gonna go to the next step, to shoot you. That's could be happening.
Go ahead.
And that's when, you know, you've heard from leaders, so how about you just hear from a citizen? So my name is Billy. I live on 16th Place. It's between Holt Arena and Center Street. And I see some Middle Eastern students walk by my house. I'm gonna do a better job to make eye contact and say hello. Because when we see comments like that, it is on us to refute that and to let you know that we have your back. I want to say a few weeks ago, there were a Middle Eastern student, and I apologize, he might be in here, and his car battery was dead. And he said, do you need a start? And I was like, ugh. But it was about because I was late for lunch. But by golly, I was going to get my jumper cables because this is my town, and I want you to feel welcome. And so I want to tell you, I'm sorry for what they have done. I know it is a drop in the bucket. And I want to tell you, like, you are angry, and I really appreciate that you are respectful and you're trying to have this conversation, and it is on us as well as the leaders to engage in that conversation with you. So I just wanted to tell you that personally.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for everything that you said about us, and I know that there are too many people like you who respect Muslims, respect people from Saudi Arabia and Kuwait. But I am really sorry. This is not gonna make my wife feel safe here. This is not gonna make my kids feel safe. A few minutes ago, somebody came to my neighbor and tried to scare his wife and his boy. So they are threatened now. My wife is threatened too. I'm trying to get them back to Saudi Arabia as soon as possible. I'm not able to because I haven't get my son birth certificate yet. But I'm trying to find a really way to send them back home. Guys, we're tired of these meetings. Every day there's a meeting, but it is useless. Honestly, we need a good reaction from the police. We need a reaction from the media. We are tired of this. Every time there is a meeting, so okay. What is the next step? We need a good, the police today, we told them that at least, I live in Ridgecrest. It should be like the most secured place here because it's the university housing. And we're not feeling safe. Honestly, I cannot feel safe there. My wife is threatened now. She asked me to come to stay with her. You know, I had a quiz today with you, Ali. Yeah. We are in the same class. And I had a quiz. I had to leave the class and go back home. And go to my place, sorry. This is our situation here. The police need to do something. Look at the guy now. We're not feeling safe, sorry guys. Thank you.
So that's where that is coming from, you see. And, you know, Mohammed, as I said to you, bring your wife to my place. That's the best I can do for right now. But we are going to talk about the next steps.
How many wives here? How many wives? All the wives in your house?
Why not?
Situation. How many thieves they catch? How many thieves they catch until now? This is the question.
And that's what we're trying to explain right now.
Every day I sleep 6 a.m. because I feel safe when the sun is up. This is what's happened. We can't sleep at night. We can't sleep at night.
And I guess my question would be, what has happened that keeps you from sleeping at night? I know about this. This just happened, correct? Was it at your house or someone else's house?
Okay.
And I will tell you, there are cameras in that area. So sooner or later we'll get a look at those. ISU does, I got to tell you, ISU does a very good job with
There is no cameras
with that.
There is no camera.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Well,
I think put 3 cameras in the university court.
Okay. Well,
because of the accident happened a year and a half ago when our friend got beaten up.
Where was that at?
Like a year and a half ago.
I just talked to the ISU security, and I think they were looking at cameras. So maybe I'm mistaken, but the way I took it was there were cameras in that area that they were going to look at.
The only campus they have cameras on, it's the university court, and it's only, I mean, and it's all directed to only one apartment.
Okay. But I'll talk to him.
Not distribute everywhere.
Sure. Okay. I'll see. I will talk to him about it.
So, Vice President, can we have more police, ISU public safety presence in that area? Can we do something like that?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Do you want to just say something else?
I was just going to say that we've talked about a message we want to say, and we've talked about how we want to be together. On Monday at 12 noon, President Bayless asked me to remind you, he's at the State Board of Education meeting today in Moscow, but we are going to have an event where we would like to have as many people there, and we are going to share with the world that our desire is for friendship and for togetherness and for peace and for solidarity, and we are committed to work towards that. So please come, bring your friends, let's all together show the world how we can be if we'll work toward that goal.
So,
First of all, I understand. I have a lot of sisters that we get together and we have meetings and we talk about what's going on since the past 6 years. I feel really, really, sorry for everything that is going on, especially for them, because some of them wear abaya, and some of them, they try to follow their tradition and their faith the best they can. However, we cannot fight hate with hate. This is a fact. We cannot really have anger towards anger. You will not find any solution. Yes, you may go back. Yes, you may go transfer, go wherever you think is safe. But every place in this world, you will find discrimination, especially with what's going on politically. Donald Trump has obviously proposed hate to everyone, for all Mexicans, for all Muslims. But the way is not by hating the hate. The way is praying for the hate. If you have someone or you have a group of people that have so much anger towards you for whatever reasons, the best way is not to fight it with hate and anger. The best way is to fight it with love and kindness. You don't need to be their friends. You don't need to pray for those who are making those crimes. But at least step aside and meditate or reflect and send some love. I know there's a lot of Muslim brothers and sisters here. And I know that there's a lot of leaders, which, as I said, I admire and I know them a lot. But at the same time, we really cannot fight this battle by having that anger in our hands and by having these feelings because we feel on threat or we feel threat. All the world is feeling threat. Middle East is feeling threat. People are dying right now. But right now, the best solution is to send a message. Like I said, if there's people who are going to churches on Sunday, Mormon, Catholic, Jewish, whomever, send the message. Say what's going on. Share what's going on in this meeting out there. And say, hey, you know what, we need to do something about it. Not just for the community of Pocatello, but for Idaho, for the United States. Send this message so brightly so we can stand together. Unity is power, but love can do much more. So
I exactly understand what you're saying, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, we understand. I'm not in the same level you do, obviously. We haven't been vandalized recently. We haven't been stabbed. Someone hasn't been calling us names, threatening everything we want and everything we're here for. But we understand the fact that everyone here, think about why people are in this meeting. Think about people who are not like you, are not suffering, but are in this meeting. Why are they here? Not just to show support and to show understanding for what's happening to you, but also because we know and we understand that if we let this go by in silence, and if we let this just happen without our voices being heard besides the police, and if we just let this continue until they drag all of you guys away, and I understand if you don't feel safe and you want to go home, that's fine, but it's not going to solve the problem. Because as soon as they eliminate one group, they're going to go for the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And if we don't stand together, while we're all still together, then when there's one group left, no one is going to be there with you, standing with you, to defend you. We are here because we understand, not only do we appreciate your culture and you being here, because there's not enough ways to express that, yes, we do. But we also understand the consequences if we just let all of this happen to you with no reaction from us as well.
Thank you very much. So,
for me, I think the people are very nice, especially the locals. I live with American family. She treats me like her son. I treat her like my mother. But the issue is about these stupid people, this group of people who makes all these actions. We need to know what is the solution for that. For the community is very nice. But of course, there are stupid people everywhere, in each country. But how to reduce this group of people? What is the solution? He said we will do he will do his best. But as he gives solution, he said he will put some camera. What about the rest? The people who are of campus, not on campus.
Okay, we'll talk about that too.
Yeah, I will talk about what happened for me. I want you all to listen what happened. This semester, this is my second semester here in Idaho State University. And Christmas break, I went back to my country. And on the first day of school, I come back here to Pocatello. And he is my teacher. He's my instructor. And I told him in the first class, my apartment was stolen. And this is what happened. I lost my laptop, I lost my TV, and nothing has happened. In the January, and now we are in April. And in the 1st of July, it's legally to have a gun. So I can't feel safe here, and American people here, or residents here, they have a gun. So I don't think it's a safe place here. I think I will try hard to transfer from university and transfer from this state. Thank you.
So that's the reality on the ground. And that's what students are feeling. And let me, so what Muhammad said is very important, because, you know, we need to have a written down a plan, not just another meeting. And that's what I promised all of the students, that we are going to try and figure out. So let's come to a conclusion. Please, go ahead.
I have an observation. I'm just one person. And I'm part of the community, not of Pocatello, but of Idaho State University. And we are a family. And my wife is also on the faculty. And so for Muhammad, I will do this because I've done this with my students. There's my card. If your wife feels unsafe, call me or my wife, and we will find something. This will not overcrowd your home. But it has to be one person to one person, one man to one man. Remember, we are all children of Abraham.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I would like to thank everybody who showed up today and stick up for us, and there's a lot of people who are still sticking up for us. The thing is, I used to live, I've been living in Pocatello for almost 3 years and a half, since 2013. And Pocatello used not to be like this at all. Not at all. It used to be like a safe environment, safe community. If it was just only a couple houses, it wouldn't really matter to us at all. I swear, even like 5 houses, that's okay. It happens in every single state. But if you compare Pocatello as a small, tiny community to like cities in Colorado, California, Montana, they don't have this kind of hate. I didn't have to learn about crimes and hate crimes until I moved to Idaho. It's not because of you guys, I know. Each community, of course, has good and bad people. And we can't control all the people, of course, but when it comes and it gets worse and worse by the time, the police didn't even show up to the meeting yesterday. Nobody showed up. Our students and my friends, their houses got raped, they got scared of their houses, they got shot on the street, got stabbed, and you have everything, I know, and I don't want to say it more and more and more, you guys know more than we do. But the thing is, they don't have excuse against us. We didn't do any crimes, we didn't kill anybody, didn't steal any houses, not at all. Just only the excuse they have, we don't know how to drive. Okay, I don't know how to drive, right? There is a law. Just get my plate number, pick up the phone, call 911, let them do their jobs if they just they don't know nothing. That's the thing. That's just only their reason, I swear. I've been to a lot of communities here the last couple of weeks because of these things that has happened to my friends. This is the excuse, they don't know how to drive. Come on, people. It's It's not a good excuse to like scare those poor students. They're gonna be doctors. They're gonna graduate, gonna be doctors, lawyers, writers. They're gonna leave bad history about Pocatello. And thank you so much for your support and love, and we're still together.
I'm sorry to do this, but I think the spotlight comes back at you.
I'm good with it. I'm good with it.
So let's come up with some kind of a plan of how can we get weekly or at least until we get, what kind of updates can we get from your office saying, okay, this is what we have done, or this is, we have arrested somebody, or something has happened, some kind of a progress to show so people will feel safe. Because I understand exactly where he's coming from. I'll feel exactly the same way. But I've got a shotgun, so I can carry that with me. Is that the solution? I don't think so. That's not the solution. And I'm sorry, I keep it at home, but that's not the solution to the problem. The solution to the problem is that police needs to get all of these guys.
And we're doing our best. I can't tell you any more about how hard the people at the police department work these crimes. They work them hard. Unfortunately, we don't solve them all. We have a fairly high clearance rate. Our clearance rate for all crimes is 46%, which is huge. If it was 37%, I would tell you it's way huge, but it's at 46.
So if my maths is right, 23 burglaries reported. So
right.
Let's do 46% of that. I'll give you another 6%. So let's say, can we get at least 12 cases resolved?
I hope so. I hope so. I'm going to tell you last year, as I looked at the numbers last year, we're about on track burglary wise, and this is not a perfect number, but burglaries have actually been down. There were like 300, I want to say 364. I won't promise that number. Out of that number, we only solved 65, I think. So it's pretty tough, and that's all burglaries. Residential, commercial. I have to tell you, I think they have some good leads with what they're telling me on some of these burglaries. I can't lay my whole case out, and if I was an investigator and you called me, I can't tell you everything we're doing because it's bigger than just one case, and it ties more than just one group of people in. You are all victims, we understand that, but I don't think the suspects in all these cases are the same. It's not one person doing it. It's not one person going to every house and doing it, okay? It's different people. Like I told you before, you're a tight community, okay? Bad guys also have a tight community. People involved in the drug world, people involved in thefts. It's gone on forever, ladies and gentlemen. People get tied up in the drug world, they'll steal from anyone. It's about money. They spend and they lose everything. It's an epidemic. The drug world hurts every community in the state of Idaho. We're no different than anyone else.
Excuse me, sorry for interrupting. It's
That's
not about drugs. It's not about hate. It's not about drugs or like dealing or anything like that. If it was for that, there won't be like DVDs about Muslims.
But
and DVDs like said Quran is the manual for Muslims.
Right.
And it teaches them how like bomb places and
But that is something separate.
Fires on the like everywhere.
But
that is something different from the burglary.
I completely understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Just to explain his point of view too. You see, the thing is that when we're looking at a problem, you're seeing 1, 2, 3, 4 happening one after another. That's how people are looking at it. One person gets attacked, one person's car gets vandalized, people come and leave the CDs, and then the burglaries start. And they go simultaneously. So I understand that you're looking at it as 4 or 5 different issues and you're tackling them that way. To us, it looks like that it's one issue, and that's happening as a conspiracy, if I put it together. Go ahead.
All right, local news 8. Now, I was wondering, does the correlation of the increase in heroin in our area correlate with the break-ins? Since you're saying they're grabbing high-dollar items, would it be safe to say that drugs are could be propelling this?
Do I think that drugs have something to do
Does
with
the
explosives and
investigation
theft.
lead towards drugs as?
Can't tell you that. I can't tell you that at this point.
Okay, so when that happened to me, I was just got off work. I was in my work clothes. I'm a citizen here. I'm not just a student. I live here since 2007, and I was walking down the road with my girlfriend, and I was in my work clothes, and I got called a terrorist. I got called go back to your country. I got called all this stuff. So maybe the drugs has something to do with it, but maybe a 2% of it. It's totally it's hate. I mean, I got stabbed.
That's a Bible definition of a hate crime.
Do I look terrorist? Like what? Do I look terrorist? Like terrorists don't wear that. I'm serious. Terrorists don't have girlfriends. You know, terrorists don't go to work and serve at a restaurant. So I'm not a terrorist. So I don't like to be called a terrorist. You know, I'm not a terrorist. Like we never have any record in violent crimes in Pocatello. I believe so. Like I never heard of any of the students have a violent crime to be called a terrorist. I think the terrorist is who did that to me is a terrorist because terrorism had no religion, had no color, had no nothing. It just was. It's about what you do. Stealing from the students and breaking into their houses and whoever stabbed me, they are terrorists. Not because I just got off work.
You're right. Before you go ahead, please. For our safety, if this keeps going, for the stabbing and all other stuff, can we get, a license to get some stuff to protect ourselves?
I'm the wrong person to ask if you can get a license to do any of that stuff. And I wouldn't condone anybody taking guns and getting guns, and I have the same feeling you do. In July 1, when anybody can carry a gun, I absolutely oppose it. I think it's wrong, but I'm not here to talk about that. What I'm here to say, because Ali, I love him, has been trying to wrap this up for a half hour. But what I want to ask everybody in here, do we believe that there is an issue or a problem in Pocatello? Raise your hand. Are we willing, as a group in here right now, to leave this room and fix, at least work on fixing that problem? Raise your hands. You've had a commitment from the police chief. You've had a commitment from the mayor. You've got a commitment from the school, the vice president of the school. I saw a representative raise his hand too. He's a state representative there. You've got the commitment from people to do this. Let's go and do it. We can continue to talk about hate, and you know what? I'm starting to get mad, and I want to hate somebody because we're talking about hate. It may be the truth, but let's change the truth. Let's change it. Let's change it right now. When we leave this room, let's change it right now. I got a beautiful young lady right here that just told us exactly what we need to be doing. I had another one, and she left, unfortunately, that told us exactly what we need to be doing. And all I feel right now is I feel hatred. And we can leave this room feeling hatred, or we can leave this room with the resolve that we're going to change that hatred. And I hate to say it. And I hate to say, look, I am sorry. I'm sorry you lost your stuff, and I'm sorry you got stabbed. And if I could have been there so I got stabbed, I would have been. I guarantee I would have been, so that you wouldn't have had to worry about it. And it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell to think that you are going through this. Because I've seen it. I've felt it. I've been there in my own life. And it hurts. And I wish we could get everything back. And I'm sorry. And I'm not gonna take any questions, because I think that as long as we continue to talk about how hateful it is, then all we're doing is stirring up hate. It's time for us to turn that hate into passion and to change our community. The only way we're gonna change our community is the people in this room right now that decide to leave to change it. I have a group of people right here that I love more than they'll ever know. And they disagree with me on an awful lot of things. And I disagree with them on an awful lot of things. But I love them. I love them with every fiber of my being. I love them. You know why? because they're full of love. And they want to make the place we live a better place.
What are you gonna do?
What am I going to do? I'm going to continue to do what I've been doing. I'm going to continue to work with you. I'm going to continue to work with our police chief to make sure we get these things solved. And I'm going to continue to make sure that people see me with you. And my arm around you. Like that. That's what I'm doing. The question, I think the question is not what am I going to do? What are you going to do? See, you're going to leave. You're going to leave. And you can leave. And you can do that if that's what you want. But what we would prefer is you stay and you help us fix this problem. I'm sorry your family feels that way. I really, truly am. And if there's any way I could do it and be at your place, I would be there. And I would be doing that. I don't want you to leave, and I don't want your family to leave. It doesn't help us if you leave. It never, ever, ever will help to leave. It will help if you will show your love to us, and we show our love to you. That's when this meeting right here today fixes things. Not when we leave here and all of a sudden everybody packs up and, oh, that was a great meeting, and we go home and we don't do a damn thing about it. That doesn't work. When we leave here and we actually act on what we want to make better is when our community gets better. I guarantee it. That's the only way it works. I'm committed, 100% committed, to leaving this room, making it a better place. I hope you are all committed to do the same thing. I know you've been violated and I know you feel angry. Please, work with us. Help us make this place a better place. That's my commitment to you.
Well, let me tell you this. This meeting, when I'm going to announce it, we're not going to take questions for right now. We're just going to do this. When I end this, we're not just going to walk out and go to our homes. We're going to all get together. The mosque is open, so you guys can sit here and conversate with each other. You guys can talk to the police chief. Is going to be here. He's going to talk to you specifically. And then if you have concerns, you can go and talk to him. Take your turns. Explain. Communicate. The biggest problem that I heard the first time we started here was communication. Police chief said the same thing, the mayor said the same thing, the vice president said the same thing. We cannot have miscommunication. We need to communicate, we need to talk to each other, and that is going to bring the solution. There is no other way. There is no other way.
Thank you.
Thank you very much all for coming down. The mosque is out.
Hello everybody, this is just a quick thing I want to say. I am Azza, I am the Vice President of the Islamic Society here, and I just want to say something. I want to tell you that whatever happened here today doesn't mean that every single Muslim in Pocatello is suffering. I am very visually Muslim, and I have never, ever been under any kind of discrimination whatsoever. I've lived in Pocatello since 2014, I've lived in America for 8 years, and I've never had this experience before. My daughter goes to charter school, and as a Muslim little girl, she is not supposed to tuck her shirt in, and that is against the rules of the school. But when I talked, the principal was very open about it, and he said that's okay, and she can choose not to tuck her shirt in. So I just want to say that not every single Muslim is suffering, and I know that a lot of things have happened, and I feel sorry for those people who have suffered from that, but at the same time, I just want to say I love it here in Pocatello, and when I very first came, I loved the mountains because Oklahoma is flat, and I thought that I'll just love the mountains for some time and then I'll get used to them. Believe it or not, I still don't, and when I look at them every time, it feels like the first time. And I love people here, and I'm not going anywhere.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming down. So let's communicate. The meeting is not over. Still, you guys can roam around and talk to each other and communicate. Thank you.